Pastel de nata is the most traditional Portuguese cake. You will find it in every Portuguese coffee shop in Lisbon or around the world. Pastéis de Belém is very similar to the pastel de nata, visually very similar, but with a very different recipe. It's easier to explain if you try one or try the other. It's up to you. They're both good and very different, but what I can say for sure is that the recipe for the Pastéis de Belém, the ones you find at this shop, you will only find it here. There's nowhere else in the world where this cake is made or sold. The recipe was invented in the monastery of Jerónimos in the 19th century. The recipe was passed on by one of the monks to a local businessman around 1834, a little after the liberal revolution of 1820. That's when the recipe arrived at this place. This used to be a sugar refinery. I guess the refinery was used to keep on making the cakes. We started selling them where our front counter is today. That was the original shop for the Pastéis de Belém, a very small place. Since 1837, a lot new rooms, a lot has grown, a lot has changed, but the recipe and the way the cakes are made, that has been kept exactly the same. The recipe for starts is different from many other recipes you will find for pastéis de nata. I guess the fact that we've kept it original, one by one. The cakes are made by hand. This concern with the original recipe and the way they were made in keeping this tradition and the identity of this cake and this brand alive is what sets us apart, I think, from other similar cakes. The baking process is quite long because you need to consider the resting periods of the dough, of the pastry and the custard. Once the four chefs make the pastry and the custard and it rests, then the process of molding the dough and filling in with the custard, taking to the oven and removing them from the molds takes approximately 40 minutes. Currently we're baking about 22,000 of these per day. A lot. When you're able to keep your identity and are able to keep the tradition alive, that really creates an impact, and our customers throughout generations is something that you heard about, your father talked about or your grandfather talked about, and it's exactly the same today, the way they're made, the way they taste. So the quality of the cake itself and keeping the history alive is a big part of why they're famous. Also, the fact that we're here in Belém, which is probably one of the most visited districts in Lisbon by tourists especially, has also helped for this brand to gain some fame outside of Portugal. Well, the recipe was kept secret since the 19th century, so only the managers and the four chefs know how to make it and know all the exact ingredients. So I can't really let you know about the ingredients, I'm sorry. No, you'd have to kill me.